Good evening, and if you're just tuning in, you're listening live or watching live, 105.3 FM on the Gulf Coast and 107.7 of the beautiful city of New Orleans, Louisiana, to UFO Paranormal and United Public Radio Network. And this is the Angel Rock, and I'm your host, Lorilei Potvin. I see y'all filing in here. We're going to say hi in just a minute. A little bit about myself. I'm a Canadian psychic medium, a crystal Reiki energy healer, Akashic Records practitioner, spiritual teacher, and mentor. I'm also a registered nurse, and I also am well versed in near-death experiences, having had one as a toddler myself, and I've studied them professionally and personally for over 40 years. And I see Julie in here. She's going to give me heck, but I'll say I'm a budding practicing animal communicator. I'm also well versed in the paranormal, having lived in an extremely haunted house, the home before where I live now. And we've shared our story on the Travel Channel's Paranormal Survivor. It's season 4, episode 9, and it's called, I didn't name it, but so I can't even say the word, demonic hauntings. Sorry. You can see that on YouTube. I think it's on Netflix. It's all over the place. But if you guys like what you see, please like, share, and subscribe, and tell all your friends and family about our network. I'm actually on 4 shows on our network now. I might as well throw that in here too. So we got the Angel Rock Monday nights. Then I have my new show that I have started with the amazing and wonderful good friend of mine as well, Carrie Lynn Shellhorn, on Thursday nights. It's called Beneath the Hollow Moon, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And tonight, on Thursday night, we're going to be talking about things like Kentucky goblins and Tommy knockers and cave creatures and all kinds of stuff. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Friday nights, I'm joining the boys, as I call it, the next 2 shows I mentioned. So it's the owner of our network show, Joe Montaldo. He's got news on the flip side. So I join him and Michael Angry, as well as Sean Kelly and Jay McNicholas. And then we all do the chat on Saturdays, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I've gotten really busy, but I love doing this. But like I said, tell your friends and family about this. It's not all just UFO and paranormally type things. We really do have all kinds of shows, something for everybody. We have got multiple shows playing daily live 7 days a week. And when it's not live, the archive service kicks into the last 25 plus years this network's been around. So we really are live, the network, 24 hours a day. I know we have a new show on, I think it's Sunday afternoons, 4 p.m. First Nations Indigenous gentlemen in the U.S. I want to say Navajo, that's 4 p.m. Forgive me, I don't know the name of the show off the top of my head, but that's one new show. We have all kinds coming onto the network, so you guys want to hang around. We got lots of new and exciting things happening. If you can't see us, you can't join the conversation, because 80% of our audience is audio only. We do broadcast to every country in the world. So, and if you know about this, you know this show and the Thursday night show for sure are both audience participative. I always say we don't have a show if we don't have you. But if you want to join the conversation and you're listening live, this is how you can do it. You can go to my profiles on Facebook under Lorilei Potvin, or LinkedIn, my YouTube channel, which is the Angel Rock with Lorilei Potvin, on Instagram under the Angel Rock. I think it's also under Lorilei Potvin, so you can check it out there. We're also on the network's Facebook, which is UFO Paranormal United Public Radio Network, as well as our YouTube channel by the same name. And we are streaming on the network's Twitch channel. I'm also on Rumble. Hopefully it's working. I had to do a little hack to get it to work because Rumble hasn't been working, but it seems like it's live. So cross my fingers. And you can find that under the name of Mystique 1508. As I always say jokingly, not a stripper name. It came from X-Men, one of the characters there. I think I've told you guys everything I wanted to tell you. So I'm going to introduce our guest. She's been here before, and then we're going to say hi to everybody. So give me a sec as I flip around here. There we go. So our guest's name is Mary Electra, and she was here, I think, just after Christmas. Well, it's just after New Year's the first time, and she's a friend of a good friend of mine, and also a good friend of hers, Lorian Fenton, who's also been on the Angel Rock a few times. So Mary Electra is internationally known as a spiritual teacher and a tonal alchemist, and is a master of enhancing the intention of the healing process individually and globally. Mary works on many dimensional levels using techniques such as toning, breathwork, and spiritual counseling with the tarot as ancient healing vibrations manifest through her. She is inspired by the spiritual vibrations of many masters, for example, Mary Magdalena, the Christ consciousness, Sai Baba, Babaji, Mother Mary, and Jesus, as well as other interdimensional beings to open portals and ignite the higher dimensional self within. This is where we consciously connect to Source, opening us to our unlimited potential. As sound is one of the most powerful healing modalities, and I also know as a nurse, it's one of the first senses to develop in utero and also one of the last senses to leave us when we leave this planet. So it's powerful indeed. And in our world today, one of the most needed healing modalities. She has been inspired to produce intentional healing CDs, collaborating with other musicians to create three simply magnificent works of sound healing. They're called Ancient Sounds in Paradise, Homecoming to Spirit, and Breathe Peace. Another guided endeavor was writing and publishing Time to Be Alive, part autobiographical, part guided wisdom. I want to thank you, Mary, for being here. You've got such a good bio. I didn't want to cut it down, so welcome.
Thank you for. I forgot what I had written, and what I wanted to say before I forget, my website is actually Sound Healing Electra.
Oh, okay. I'll
You
change
have it
that when
on.
we're talking then, because I went off of the bio you gave me. So hang on. I
Really?
will.
I have it. That's not a good thing if I have Sound Healing.
It
But
might have
it's
been me you're copying and pasting. Let me
soundhealingelectra.com.
check. No, I screwed it up. You did it right. I
Oh,
screwed it up. Sorry.
it's okay. I just saw that and I thought, well, they won't find me there.
Won't find you that. I was doing it quickly. What just before you logged on. Sorry about that, guys. I'm glad you caught that, Mary. But,
Yeah, me too. Because the
so you
last time I came on, my,
how's that?
let me just see here.
Sound healing.
Soundhealingelectra.com. That's perfect.
There we
Thank
go.
you.
Okay. No,
That,
thank you, because I would have felt bad. We got your website going across the bottom. So
yeah. No, I like thank you for putting it across the bottom too. The last time I was on, I gave people information they could sign up for my mailing list and stuff, and it didn't work. So now it's been fixed. So if anybody goes online and tries to sign up for my mailing list, it'll happen. You can do that. So
okay, well, let's say hi to everybody. So we got Julie Jean Bassett here. She says hi, Lorilei, and everyone. I always give Julie a shout out. She's an incredible animal communicator. I've taken my animal communication course with Julie. She's become a very close friend, but she's also helped me with many of my animals. So you guys, if you have animals that you're kind of at your wit's end, you don't know what you're going to do with them. Their behavior is something they're doing has become really troublesome. I am telling you, she can help you. She's helped me, and this is a personal vote for her. I'm telling you, she's incredible. So definitely check her out with that, because she can communicate with animals both earthside and across at the Rainbow Bridge, as well as she is an incredible, I keep saying incredible, but there's no other word to describe her. She's a shamanic practitioner, and I've had a life-changing session with her. I keep saying one of these days I need to book another with her. Julie, I meant to look up your website, but please put it in the chat if you can, okay? If you can't, even send it to me and I'll type it in if you can't get the link to show up. You guys, but please don't hesitate to check her out, because I'm telling you, working with her will be life-changing. We've got Michelle Wilfong. She says, hello, Michelle. I have not given up on TikTok. They've got me restricted over there. So we are going to be streaming back on TikTok. I need to get back to fighting with TikTok about why. I have no strikes against me or anything. But Michelle is one of my mods over there, and she's incredible at that as well. She has a haunted apartment that she posts on her TikTok channel. So you may want to check out some of her videos. They're pretty crazy. We got Connie Martins here, and we've got Julia Evans. And thank you for joining us, Julie. Thank you to everyone joining us, but I know it's late over in the UK. And she says, hi, all. Let's see who else we got here. Everybody's just saying hi. We got Heidi Gall here. She says, hello, Lorilei and Mary and everyone. Much love from Boulder, Colorado. There, I think we hit everybody. Just let me check Instagram. I don't know what Instagram's been doing. I'm telling you, it's really slow when you check it out. I haven't seen any comments on there, so hopefully it's showing up. Anyways, Mary, I said you were on here in January, and
Yes.
you know what? We talked a little bit about your work, but for people that don't know what you do, can you kind of give them a little bit of a refresher?
Well, I do sound healing frequencies. I
Mhm.
do it with my voice. Um, these amazing frequencies that have never been brought to this dimension were graced upon me, and I'm very blessed to bring them through. And they really help to activate the DNA strands that have been shut down. And so it that those DNA strands that were shut down are are an easier access. We have access without them, but it's an easier access to open yourself to your higher dimensional self and your spark of the divine, which
Mhm.
is where amazing creativity lives, and uh, an all-knowing kind of energy where if you need to understand and know something, you can go within and find the answers. And so that is opened more fully with the frequencies. And when I was in Hawaii years and years ago, I think it was 1995, I was visited by beings that were my understanding from the Pleiades, and
Mhm.
they formed a formation of the tree of life, the Kabbalah tree of life. And for 5 nights, I had to go out there, and they were working with me. And what they would do is the lights would pulse, and then it would send a laser to the other light, and it would pulse. And it went through very different series and different frequencies, different um, um, formations. And I knew it was good. I knew what was happening was positive. I knew that they were preparing me, but I didn't really understand fully what was happening until later when I started doing the sound. And that's when I realized they were actually reconfiguring my throat chakra
Mhm.
at my throat so that I could bring the frequencies through, because it would have probably shattered me to bring them through without that work. And
Mhm.
then when I was in uh, Egypt at the King's Chamber, I was guided to go there, and I had other people reinforce my understanding that I was going to be given a gift when I went there. And when I was in the King's Chamber in the Great Pyramid, we were doing a ceremony. I was toning, and someone happened to snap a picture of me, or her sister actually,
Mhm.
which captured me as well. And you'll see a ball the size of a basketball on top of my crown. And it's very clear that his energy is pouring through me. And that is where I believe those frequencies that had not ever been in this dimension prior were brought through me to bring through.
Do you
So
have that? I was sorry to cut. Do you have that picture on your website, if I remember correctly? Do you? Or
I, Laura, there was lots of pictures. I don't know if it's on my website or not.
because
I
I
think
thought I remembered that, and I wish I would have thought of that before you came on.
because
Because
I know I sent it to you
did you? Okay.
for the last show,
Okay, let
because
me check for it.
it was in it, because there's some real interesting like on the website you do see. I sent one of my clients wanted people to be able to see what's really happening when I tone, and because it's very subtle and most people don't get it, to be honest with you. And so we sent my sound to Dr. Emoto. You remember who he
Yeah,
is, right?
yeah. Mhm.
We sent the sound to Japan, and when we sent it, I toned into a bottle of water. You have to put
You
foil
might have
around
to
it.
tell people who Dr. Emoto is. Some people may
Okay,
not.
well, Dr. Emoto was a gentleman who developed this microscope that he could uh, take pictures of little slivers of frozen water, and he would put messages on the bottle like anger, love, and then he would freeze it, then take a little sliver of that, and and you would see anger would be just very chaotic.
Mm-hmm.
Love would be just a beautiful. They always look like snowflakes, and the anger was very. And he did that with many things, and so that's why we decided to send it, because it was called Messages in Water, I believe, was one of his books. He has many, many, many books, and he passed away. Oh, I think right before COVID or right
Mm-hmm.
in the middle of COVID. So, and I got to meet him at a conference in Santa Monica. So I was really blessed to get to meet him and his son's wife. So it was, so we sent the water with an intention. I toned an intention into the water that I be given a visual of what's happening to somebody when I'm toning into their body. And it came back with the most amazing pictures. Those are on my website. You can see it, well, because you can see a particle, a molecule being kind of blown apart. Then you see a swirling energy like a tornado. And then you see an embryo. And that embryo grows into the most perfect, beautiful um, star, snowflake image. And
Okay.
it's really beautiful. So, but I don't know. I wish I had thought about sending you that picture.
I
It's
think
quite.
I see some of the snowflakes on your website.
Do you see it? They're at the bottom? You go all the way down to the bottom.
Oh, I can pull them up. I got the other pictures you sent. You sent me 5 of them that there's
Okay.
like you're in the woods somewhere. So
Okay.
hang on, let's pull it up on your website and we'll tell people that are listening. It's www.soundhealingelectra, because I forgot the Electra. I'm so glad Mary caught that while we were live. I mean that, Mary, because people would have been trying to go to the wrong website. So
I know.
let's see. Did I spell that? No, I didn't. I'm missing an E. Me and my typing here. Hang on. Okay, let's see. I think that'll work now. I need my glasses for everything. Yeah, I can pull it up because you can see some of the snowflakes. You might as well. Hi, Jackie Collins. Welcome. Let's see. We got Sound Healing Electra. Give me one sec. It might pop up already. We'll see. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it doesn't. So let me pull it to the bottom. There we go. Oops, 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 oops. Is it up on the screen already, Mary? Because I
No,
can't.
it is right now.
Okay, good. No, sometimes it's not supposed to. It's supposed to sit in the background, and then it always says add to the stage, but lately it's been showing it. So do you want to explain some of these things?
Okay. So when I'm toning, this is
Okay.
what happens with the sound is going in. You're receiving the frequencies into your body, and so
Right.
if there's a damaged molecule, or if something needs to be repaired or opened or adjusted, the first one is where the frequency hits it and
Okay.
breaks it apart.
So
And
that's the one on the left, then the first picture we're looking at?
that's I can't touch it. It's the first one near my head.
Yeah,
That's
okay,
the
that
first
one. I know you probably can't see the arrow because usually people can't see the arrow.
No, and then the second one is where it's spinning around. You can
Okay.
see it's like a tornado there. It's
Yep.
that molecule is being spun around. And then the third one, you can see it. You can see the embryo. I don't. It when you make it bigger, you can really see it. You see,
I'll see if I
I
can
can't
make
point
it.
to it, but at the top of it, oh, I can see the arrow now. See where the embryo is there?
Is that the one in the middle right
Yeah,
here?
that's it. You got that, and then when you go on the top, where the little crease is, it looks like a little
Okay.
fissure.
But this isn't an actual embryo. It just looks like an embryo, or
Well, it is an embryo because that particle is being rebirthed.
no, but I meant like in the way of a human fetus, for example.
No, it's not that kind of embryo, but
Yeah.
it's like a birthing. Something's being reborn.
Just because there's people listening, that's all. That's
Okay.
what
Well,
I'm
it's not like a human embryo.
Yeah.
No, you're not
Okay.
going to have a child or anything like
Yeah.
that. But that particle that we're healing
Right.
is renewing, and that's
That's
the renewal where the embryo is.
so
And
that's
then
where the area is, right? Because if you can see the arrow, people will
you
see it.
can see that's it. That you've got the arrow on it right now,
Okay.
and that's the embryo. And then when you come over to this one, it's down further, and you can see the embryo is forming, or
Okay.
the snowflake is forming, and
Yeah.
it's healing. And that's all that massive energy around it is the part of the frequencies working with you
So
to
all around
heal whatever is, needs attention.
you.
And then if you move to the next one, you see how it's growing, it's
Right.
moving. And then the last one
Oh, you got
is,
more. You got more. So it's
yeah,
evolving and growing. Now, this is the final picture, I'm guessing, right
this
here.
one is the last one is the final picture. And it's, when you see them, they have a blue cast to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I work often with the Magdalene energy,
I love
and
Mary
the
Magdalene. Yeah.
Magdalene energy has the blue light, carries the blue light of enlightenment. So when you see that, I'm sure the Magdalene energy was working with me when I was toning that. And you're seeing the evidence of the Magdalene energy through those pictures.
That is so cool. Because I
And then,
think we showed the turquoise, the ones in the woods. I can show those if you want.
well, if you want, I can describe those because those are quite interesting.
Okay, give me a
They're,
sec here. I gotta
I don't know that we did show those the last time I was on air, but
I don't remember.
um, I had a, I, I was kind of stalked by the dark forces for about 12 years.
Mhm.
And there was a woman that came to me at one of the conferences I do. I used to do all the UFO conferences and conspiracy conferences in
Right.
the Western states. And I, it was very, what was going on with me was very difficult because it lasted for 12 years. But anyway, this woman came to me, and she is a hybrid. Her father was in the military, and there was a crash site, and the army took fluids from the crash victims and injected those fluids from the crash victims into
Oh,
5
goodness.
military personnel.
Okay.
And father her father was one of those military personnel.
Okay.
So they took the children from those 5 people, 5 men, and they studied them. And she really took on the traits of um, a star being. She had amazing abilities. And so they asked her if she would work with me to close all the portals that the dark forces were haunting me from. And so she did that because they said, that she said, they told me you're one of us and we need to help heal you because, you know, of your work. That's why they're haunting you. So we need to work. We need to help you. So she closed these portals that I was being um, followed and it disrupted with. And she did this healing with me. So then she used to go to Mount Shasta, and she asked me if I would go with her to Mount Shasta with, I think, 3 other people. So there was 5 of us, and do some healing with Mount Shasta. So we went to Mount Shasta, and that's where these pictures were taken.
Here,
And
I'll pull them up now.
if you want to show the pictures now, I can tell you what's happening.
Okay. You tell me.
Okay,
I don't
so
know. Are they in order? Because if
yeah,
not, I'll try to.
they're in order. If you know,
Okay.
if you know. So this was the first one. Now you can see how very clear everything is. And if you
Yeah.
go down, I want you to see that light that's going above my head. But bring the picture down so you can see that
Oh,
long light. That light,
oh, God.
there's a craft that you can't see in the picture on the other side of this rock, it's a cigar-shaped craft. So there was a craft
Wow.
there working with us. So there you can see that craft.
Okay.
And this is the thumb of the hybrid woman, and she's taking the pictures, and everything's clear. You can just see the river.
Yeah,
We're actually at Castle Lake, and it's just really beautiful there. And
sure
I
is.
start to tone. Okay, now when you
Mhm.
go to the next picture,
Okay, give
after
me
I
a sec.
start toning,
Okay. I think it's this one. I think one of them I got out of order.
yes,
So,
this is it. So you can see now that there's energy around me, and everything is
mhm.
starting to uh, not be as clear,
Yes.
because what's happening is the dimensions are dissolving. Because when we do the sound, we are in we go to another dimension.
Hmm.
You really go to another dimension, and the dimension that we're in when we're working is actually dissolving, so that you're in an other dimensional reality, kind of.
Hmm.
So then when you go to the next one, and
Is
I'll
it?
be able to see, okay, so now you can see this really shows that we're all one, basically,
Mhm.
because I'm duplicating out into the universe, and because we're moving out into other dimensions right here, and so that's what this is showing you.
Okay.
um
Mm. Okay.
and then
One of them I got out of order though. Is it this?
okay,
There's one more. I thought.
there's the other one. That's the last one. So
Okay,
the
then it's
one,
this one, right? Is it this one? No,
no,
maybe.
that's still dissolving.
I think I missed that one. I'm sorry. I'll
And so
have to
it doesn't matter.
go to
It's
the
all
last.
okay. So this is the last one. So ultimately, you can see the dimension has completely dissolved.
Who's this woman here?
It's actually, I think it's Merlin, because as I
Oh,
told you, because I'm very connected to my uh, spiritual self. I am connected to my divine center, my divine
right.
source, which is God or
Uh-huh.
source. We all are an aspect of God, source, or whatever word you want to use. Each and every one of us are an aspect of that. And because of that, we have the energy of everything else at our fingertips. We're part of everything. So when I'm working, whatever energy a person needs, that energy will work with me, because it's an aspect of me. So this is Merlin, and I believe, and it could be a woman. I've just always imagined it as Merlin. Merlin came in, and there's pictures of him moving in as I'm moving out. But by this time, the dimensions are completely dissolved, as you can see.
I'm
That
gonna
light
make
is,
it bigger for people if they can see, like, there's an actual being there, and it could be a male. The way you've perceived it, I would believe it is. If you believe it's Merlin and you feel that masculine energy, because he does almost look like he's got a bit of a beard too in front of him.
yeah.
Mhm.
I've always perceived it to be, but to be honest, we're all one. So
Yes.
if I'm correct or not correct, it doesn't matter. Merlin came in to work with us. His
Yes, I very much
energy
connect with
was
Merlin
in,
in that time
excuse me,
period. Very
what?
much. I very much connect with Merlin in that time period, actually.
Yes.
Mhm.
So that energy was very important to the healing work that we were doing in Mount Shasta.
Mhm.
But the important thing that is really that I find so fascinating is that the dimension is completely dissolved.
Yeah,
You
you'd never
all,
know that was Mount Shasta.
what?
You'd never. And look at the light over top of your. I'll go back to the picture so you can see what I'm highlighting.
Well,
Uh,
that's that light that was part of the
oh,
craft.
there's also something to the right of this light here. I'm not sure what that is.
Well, see, you have I don't know, because I can't see it that well.
Well, it looks like the dimensions have dissolved. There's definitely another being there, but to the
Yes.
right, I'm almost wondering if it's a reflection almost of the craft or like a planet or something to the
It,
to the right of the light.
Yeah, and it could be because at this point the dimensions have become one, pretty much. Do you know what I mean? So
Oh yeah, yeah.
when I'm doing the sound with people, they you really are moving into another. You become part of the whole consciousness of spirit when we're doing the sound, and you go into it's so when people have a personal, I do personal sound meditations with people, and they really I can feel when the dimensions have dissolved and we're in another
Mm-hmm.
uh, realm, and that's when people can really get amazing effects from the sound.
Well, I mean,
But I need to say one thing about that. It
okay.
is up to them, and they have to choose that this is what they choose to have. It's available to them if they choose it.
Well, sure, but that's kind of like with anything energetically. Like we were
Hmm.
talking before
Right.
the show, you were on just before my son had passed away, and I was sick for a
Right.
very long time. It's
Yes,
still about a week and a half, knocking on wood, that I'm on the mend finally. And you did send me some sound healing, which I was very grateful for
I
because
did.
it did help. But I also think that naturally I was in a very low vibrational state as well with grieving, still am, but I did feel the difference when you did send the
Right.
toning. I appreciate that.
Yes.
But the thing is, with any type of spiritual work, that's where I was going with this. I'm just now starting to get to work back with clients because I refuse to do energy work, especially with people with the crystal Reiki or therapeutic touch, which isn't
Hmm.
touching anybody. It's working with people's aura and energy field. Because when I'm in a lower state of being ill, right, I don't want to send energetically anything negative. So, oh, thank you, Julia. And happy Mother's Day to anybody who celebrates in any way from yesterday. And that includes anybody maybe that wants to be a mother, or you are a caregiver for anybody that depends on you. And yeah, you don't have, it doesn't have to be human, could be whomever, but just so you know, we're thinking of you and sending you all love. So, but it's very, really glad that you had these pictures because I think we did show them, but I don't think we went really into depth like this, did we?
Well, we never did show the ones where because we were talking a lot, so
I know.
we never really showed the one where the dimensions are dissolving, which
Mm-hmm.
I think, to me personally, I feel those are the most magical pictures. I mean, the emotive photos are wonderful because
Mm-hmm.
it really does give you a pictorial of what's
Mm-hmm.
happening with the work when I'm doing it. But to know that the dimensions are dissolving, and that when the sound is working with you, these frequencies, because you have to remember that the frequencies I bring through, my understanding, and I'm not trying to be, whatever, my understanding is nobody else agreed to bring them through.
Mm-hmm.
And so nobody else, apparently, I hope maybe that has changed. But when I first received them, the information I got is nobody would agree, because it was a very difficult journey to bring these through, because I was haunted for 12 years.
I've
Nobody,
been
the dark forces did not want this energy.
I so
Yeah,
resonated when you started saying that at the beginning of the show, because when I went through the haunting in our house, and it was
yeah,
something that called itself a demon that came to me in
yeah,
a dream, like it happened 10 minutes ago, and it was like 17 years ago, gave me its name, its animal form. And I've been raised Roman Catholic. I say I'm a retired Roman Catholic, and I never heard this name. 5 years later, everything I'd been told in that dream, what do I find? Right on, and all of a sudden could find the information. I was trying to help somebody else. But the reason why I bring it up is I was told by many people when I was searching for answers, they told me many people. And I thought at first it sounded egotistical. Now I understand it better, but I was told you are going to be doing something for the light that the dark does not want you to be doing, and it's trying to stop you. That's
Yeah.
what resonated when
Yeah.
you said what you said.
Because it's, when I was 17, I don't know if I told you this. When I was 17, I didn't know what I was going to do. I had, I did, and I attempted suicide.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And no, it was perfect, because before I did that, I kept blaming the world on living in this world of darkness. I wasn't taking responsibility, because I was responsible for my life, right? I mean, I am responsible. I was, and I am. So when I did that, I made a choice to stay, and that was my choice. So at that point, I had to be fully responsible for my journey here on this planet, because I made that choice. It wasn't somebody else. It wasn't that I got born and didn't, I made
God's
that
not
choice.
punishing us.
And that was like the most empowering thing that could have ever happened to me,
Mhm,
to take responsibility for my life.
mhm.
Right after that happened, I had an experience with an avatar. And if people don't know what an avatar is, it is an angel or someone from spirit that takes physical form to help you, to give you some guidance. And that's just an amazing, magical thing that spirit gave to me. So I won't go into the whole story because it's a long story. But anyhow, I encountered this being, and I did not know he was an avatar, but it was quite by chance. And we had we to look for somebody that was dating my roommate, and they weren't there, so I invited him into the house to wait for my roommate's boyfriend. And so he started reading my palms, and he read my palm on the right side, my right hand, because that's where we've come from. That's our past. He knew everything about me, things, because I had a very, very dark childhood. That's one of the reasons I tried to attempt suicide. I wrote a poem that said, oh my God, why was I born to live in a world of blackness and scorn?" So I mean, I was really live. I had a very dark childhood, and um, he knew all about everything that happened to me in my childhood. He knew everything. And I was so intrigued by that. I mean, we're always intrigued when people can tell us about ourselves. And then he took my left hand and he said, "You're here for a very specific reason.
Mhm,
You are here to touch thousands and thousands of people. And that is your spiritual journey, but you will not be walking into your spiritual journey until you're 45, because there's much you have to learn
mhm.
before that. There's so much I had to heal. I had to learn forgiveness and acceptance and there's so much I had to learn. So I didn't move into my spiritual journey till I was 45. And he said, "But you're here to touch thousands and thousands of people." And that was daunting to me, very daunting. And so, but I had a while to, to think about it. So then 3 years later, I was at a Halloween party. Oh, but why I knew he was an avatar is when my roommate and her boyfriend came home. I said, "Where were you? You're this guy," and they were in the service. It was during the Vietnam War. He came here because he was supposed to meet you, and he said, "I don't know anybody, but
Oh, wow.
that, that's not somebody, I don't know anybody." And so
Yeah.
then my sister worked for the telephone company. So she called the Fort Ord, which is where we live near, and she called the base locator. There was nobody at the base with that name. So so I didn't connect the dots until I read the star signs by Goodman. What was her first name? Anyhow, she wrote a book called Star Signs. She had the astrological book, Linda Goodman, and she wrote a book and she talked about avatars. And I said, "Oh my God, that was an avatar!" It just kind of came to me that it was an avatar. But then 3 years later, I went to a Halloween party, and there was a psychic giving readings to everybody that came to the party,
Mm-hmm.
and she said, uh,
Excuse
you're here for a very special reason, a very specific purpose. She said, when you turn 45, you're going to be living in your spiritual journey, and you are here to touch thousands and thousands of people. So she gave me the same message.
me. Mm-hmm.
So anyway, when I turned 45, I started doing massage, and I met Tom Kenyon, and Tom Kenyon was kind of he awakened me to the fact that I had this special healing ability
Mm-hmm.
within me, and I already had healing hands because people used to say I had magic hands. So I did massage for years, and when I did massage, I also toned into people's bodies to work
Okay.
with them with the sound. Anyhow, that's a lot of information. So there you go.
No, but it's kind of important to share how you got to where you did, because I know I have a theory and I might not be right about it, but I almost find that the more and more people I run into that are working within the fields that we work within, and many people in the chat, I have yet to run into one person that, and I don't say this to dismiss what you've been through in any way, but sort of in a way of, I hear you, I see you, and I think others do too. It seems that most of us that agreed to come into this lifetime to do what we're doing, we have not had an easy life or an
Mm-mm.
easy childhood. It's like everything you could possibly think of piled up on your plate as a child. And it's almost, I always joke and say, I wish I would have read the fine print though. It's almost like your soul's been here so many times. You
Yeah,
know, your higher self knows that you can handle it. But then it's almost like when we're that soul, we forget that we are human coming here and we have to live it all.
right.
So it takes
That's
time and the choice and the bravery. And I think the courage to step forward and choose to heal the hurts
yes.
within. Mhm.
Well, I know my childhood gave me the opportunity to learn about forgiveness. And it also gave me the opportunity to learn about acceptance. And then it also gave me the opportunity to learn about compassion. And when I wrote a book, and in the book, I pretty much say that in my understanding, this is just my understanding because the book was just about my understanding. Uh, but my understanding is that the path to enlightenment really is about forgiveness, acceptance, and compassion. Because when we learn to do that, we learn to embrace the dark and the light. And I do believe the journey with the dark beings was a way of also reminding me that I had to learn really to embrace the darkness within me so that I could know the light within me. And so, anyway,
No, but we all
that's,
have that shadow self,
yes,
right?
yes.
And, you know, I remember one time, it was years ago, I was watching a presentation about shadow work, and there was a woman up on the stage, and it wasn't a spiritual conference. She was up there and she was speaking on the stage. It was like a sales conference, and there was like thousands of people. And I forget how it started, but then somebody called her in the audience. It was like a CEO of a company or something. Well, you're a bitch. And she was like, what, like, where did that come from? Like, why are you calling me that? And it sort of evolved into a really weird scenario. But she walked away from it and she hung on to it and she started to dig deeper. Like, why would someone say this? I think it was an all male group and she had been one of the higher achievers as a woman. And it sort of led her into shadow work because, like, and it really resonated. And for anybody hearing this, again, if it resonates, great. And if it doesn't, that's okay too. But we have the potential to be it all as a human being, right? And usually the things that we tend to look around in that shadow self of ourselves are things like we'll say, and I'm not pointing a finger at anybody, but we'll say, or someone will say, well, we don't want to be like those people. We don't want that. We don't want this. Or we see a murderer or we see somebody, right? Like I would never, ever, ever do something like that. but
Yes.
we haven't lived their life, right? We haven't walked a mile in their shoes, and we all have the potential to be it all. It's
Yeah.
unpacking it and working with it and
Hmm.
choosing to heal. Because again, some of the things I always say, it's so easy to see what the problem is as an objective observer standing on the outside looking inwards. And it takes
Yes.
so much courage and honesty to be able to hold that proverbial mirror up to our own faces and
Yes.
say, I need to heal this. I maybe need to forgive, whatever that may be, and stepping forward and going on that journey.
Yes. And
Mm-hmm.
yes. And um, well, I rewrote the book I wrote. I'm not republished it, but I rewrote it. And in rewriting it, that's really what the revelation was for me, is that I really needed to learn to embrace my darkness. And
Mm-hmm.
I could not be whole. I could not be really fully a spark of the divine without embracing my darkness and my light. And um, so it so even though it was a very difficult time to go through, it was also a very important part of my life to go through. So
Julie saying, and sometimes we already are in a previous life. That's an interesting way of looking at it. And I can't disagree. I mean, some people maybe come back or choose to come back if they haven't been happy with the first time around, because we all have goal. We all have reasons we're here. Not goals so much, but reasons and paths. And should you have chosen to say no, for example, with your own path that you're on, which is very unique. Like you've accepted that, you've done the work, but we have the free will to say also no. No, I'm not doing that. I don't want to go there. I'm not. So I
right.
guess when we go back home, we could have the choice to come back and do it all over again. Do it the right way.
in in the book that I wrote, I had a theory of why we come to this dimension. And because this dimension is very dense, so it's very difficult to see our light. Our
Mm-hmm.
light is very shrouded with the density of this planet. And my understanding is that, well, my memory is that I helped to choose this dimension because I realized it was a dimension of experience.
Mm-hmm.
That as a spirit, you don't experience much. You just are. It's but this is a place to experience yourself in all of your uh, brilliance and wonder and
Mm-hmm.
everything else, and to remember who you are. It's like a planet of experience, and it's also so we get to learn that not to have judgment, not to, we get to learn so many things here that we already are, that we are, but we're remembering who we are here. And so I don't know why I brought that up, but I just really know that we came here to really remember, not to learn, because we already know. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
knowing already lives inside of it, each and
I
every one
think
of you.
that's a good way to
But
put it, Mary. Remember to remember
yes,
who. Mm-hmm.
we're here to remember who we are, I believe. And so we create these, and to be honest with you, I kind of realize this is kind of fun because I remember, I mean, I have real strong consciousness of what I am as a spirit floating. And, in spirit form, we just merge with each other's spirits and everything. But there's not really much experience. We just are, right? And, uh, and being here, it adds another flavor to everything.
Well, what I always say too, I just wanted to clarify, because thanks for that, Julie. I didn't quite understand what you meant. So, to clarify her previous comment, she said, and sometimes we are already in a previous life. She says, I meant that maybe we already were a murderer in a previous life. I get what you're saying. Now, what Spirit shared with me, and it sounds very similar in ways to what you're sharing too, is that there's a lineup of souls to come to this planet, and I refer to it as Earth School, if you will. And that the reason why is most of us come in, we don't remember. Again, that's why I like the word you use, remember.
Yeah.
We don't remember previous experiences and lifetimes and the knowledge that is already all contained within the higher self, if you will,
Right.
the soul. But we come in these dense, heavy, fragile bodies, and we have such a breadth and depth of emotion that, say, other maybe more evolved, older species don't necessarily, like, we can, if somebody is going to rage, like, we can really be in a rage. If you're sad, you can really be sad, like, you can really feel these emotions, say, versus
Right.
another off-world species or what have you. But because we come in with this spiritual amnesia plus free will, right, and what we're not taught these things. If we were taught these things as infants and onwards, I think we'd live in a completely different planet. Because people, and when you were talking about what you just said about we come here to remember and to forgive and to, I think, to be in service to others rather than service to self, though you don't get judged should you choose to live a life in service to self, but there's lessons in it as well, right? But it's about
Mhm.
love and remembering, like you said, and compassion. Like I mentioned about judging somebody without knowing what their life was like, right? Like
Right.
saying we're going to be like those people. Well, you
Right.
don't know their story. You don't know why or what led them to the choices or situations, then, what they're in. And
Yeah.
so it's powerful to come here. Hmm.
And as you're saying that, I'm reflecting on myself, realizing that I don't take the time either to realize that I don't know their story. I just quick to say, I, I, I don't want anything to do with you. I think that's a valid thing as well. Because I pick up on energies, and there are some energies I really don't choose to engage with.
And you have that. You have the
And
right
that's
to do that.
that's okay. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not making that person wrong or anything. I'm just making a choice. But there are times when I am quick to what I would say judgment of other people, and because but I know that I know better than that. I know that if I were patient and just tuned inward, I would realize that I need to have just patience and acceptance. And so I'm very, I don't want to say the word guilty, but I find myself in those situations as I'm sitting here
Yeah,
thinking
but
about
I think
you
it's
know,
human nature because I often say it's not my job to judge. But stepping back, I think we all have the propensity to judge. There's usually something we all judge about, myself included. But it's something my dad taught me as a little girl. And it was always, he used to say, Laura, walk a mile in that person's shoes. So I always hear his voice, right? And I think, yeah, I don't know what happened to that person today. So my rule of thumb is, living in the city I've lived in my whole life, it's not huge, it's 100,000 people. Say I go to a store, I go to a lot, and you get to know the sales clerks and what have you. But say somebody is really awful to you, I usually try to give them the gift, if I can, of patience,
yeah,
and not necessarily enabling it, but okay, you know what? Maybe you're having a bad day. I don't know what happened to you. But if I gone back another time or another time after that, that's when I usually will take the time to go, say, talk to a manager and say, listen, you know, with no ill intent in any way, but I've had some really difficult experiences with your employee. And I just thought maybe you may want to hear about that, because how do you know, right? The person doesn't know maybe if they don't hear about it, because then maybe it's not so much about a life. It could still be, but maybe they're not meant to maybe be working with people, or they need some more training or whatever. But I will also take the time when I've had somebody really amazing that has really just been wonderful. And I will take the time, and I love doing this if I have the time, because the manager walks up like, okay, what now? And as soon as you start to tell them, it's like a look of astonishment, and then it's like, wow, nobody's ever stopped to let me know that, somebody's done a great job. So
yes,
I none of us are perfect at it, is what I'm saying, because then boundaries come into play as well, right? And we're not meant to interact and work with every single person. We got a comment from Michigan, but I know you're going to say something to that as well. So,
No, I was just thinking about what you said. I was just processing it.
Mhm.
So,
Okay.
I don't.
Oh, go ahead, Mary.
I didn't. I was listening and processing.
Okay.
Is this what someone said?
Yeah,
Is it
Miss. She's over in Australia. We say she's my birthday twin. I tell her my birthday's August 15th. Hers is August 14th.
Mine's
But
August 16th.
yours is the 16th?
Yeah.
I did not know that. Well, you're almost a
Yeah. Well,
birthday.
actually, you did. We talked about it before because we're both
I'm
Leo.
sorry.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that went with when my son passed away, and I never learned this in university, never working within the death and dying field my whole life. And I have a good friend, Varla Ventura, that comes on here quite often. And I was talking to her about a month or two ago. And I said, it has been the darnest thing when my son passed away, because I have almost like a photographic memory. And my memory has just gone. And then it was starting to come back, went through a little bit of stress a couple of weeks ago. And it was like the memory just reset back to zero. And it made so much sense. She said to me, you do know that's a common psychological response when you lose somebody very close to you. It's almost like a shield, like it shields you from all those memories, because if it all came flooding in, I thought that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Anyways, Mish is saying, Mish also said oh wow, my papa's birthday was on August 16th. So,
Wow.
but she's saying,
I love it.
she's saying, so I'm sorry if I forgot, but we did talk about that. I remember now. We
Yeah,
did.
we did. Because your birthday was the 16th, 15th, and mine was the 16th. And we were both Leos, and of course, we're the best.
That's what Mish
No
just said.
discussion to be had about that. Anyway.
Put us Leo's roar, but her comment is if
I
it's
just wanted to make a comment about this. I have to tell you that this is a planet of
about Mish's comment.
polarity as well as density. So it's a really good place for us to to lose ourselves and remember ourselves, basically. And I think I enjoy it. I've just come to the awareness that I probably like coming here, and all the experiences are so I don't know, it's just different than being just floating with nothing. It's like uh I'm making it sound terrible, but as a spirit, we're just a spirit. We don't really have any feelings. We don't have judgment. We don't experience anything. In fact, we just, I have memories of merging with other spirits and flowing through and stuff. And when I came to Earth, sometimes in this incarnation anyway, I had full memory of merging, right?
Mhm.
So I was always trying to merge with people, and people don't want to merge. They just, in this dimension, merging is not what it is when we're in other dimensions. So it caused me a lot of problems to always want to merge. You know what I mean? So I had to really learn what they call boundaries here. I had to learn. I had to learn a respect for everybody's choices
Mhm.
and stuff. And it's just been quite interesting. And my Earth journey has been quite. I've sometimes it's been and sometimes it's just been amazing. So
Well, I'm going to read Mitch's comment. So she said, if it's hard to come to Earth, how can we have so many former lives unless Earth has got popular? Well, okay, so I'm going to throw in my 2 cents worth, and I'd love to hear yours, Mary. So my belief, and I always tell people, take what resonates and leave the rest, is the only place there is time is on Earth here. Okay, the past, present, and future are all happening at the same time everywhere else except Earth. And we don't just incarnate here on Earth. We have many different, you can choose, not even within this universe, there's so many different plethoras of things that you can choose. And you don't even have to leave, as I call it, home if you really don't want to. You have free will on the other side. But the reason why I think the way Spirit Show Me is such a popular place, because the propensity and the ability if you really get to fulfill for the reasons why you're coming here, even if you don't, just step back and take the lessons. And again, yes, our higher self knows, but I think what it goes hand in hand with what you said, Mary, as a soul, and I call it back home, we experience nothing but love. And the love isn't even the strongest word to explain it, but you also want to experience other things and grow and evolve and continue to have experiences. So coming here, though, because you can't build off of what you knew as the soul, if you will, the soul being, you're coming here kind of like a blank slate. So there's so much opportunity to evolve and grow that's what Spirit's shown me why there's a lineup to come here. And I'd love to hear your thoughts, Mary.
Well, I come to have experiences. It's engaging to me to experience. I mean, I have an awareness that I am in all dimensions at the same time. There's no yesterday, tomorrow. There's none of that. It's just very infinite, which is why in those pictures, when I'm going out, I mean, it's like I have this real consciousness of infinity. And anyway, so
but that's what we are.
Yes, and it's very difficult for people to kind of grok that we're everything at one time. That's a very difficult thing to wrap your head around, and it's not an easy thing to describe because I did try to describe it in the book. But anyway, I think I come because I think it's fun on a lot of levels. And because
perspective,
it's like a blank slate, like you forget everything about who you are when you come here, and you have to remember it. And then when you catch on, you find out there are areas like vortexes and stuff like that you actually have less density, and it's easier to remember. And that process of remembering is, I think, engaging to me. So I think that's why I come. But anyway.
No, but there's many reasons. Like Miss, you're right. Earth gives us a body, but we are not our body. The same thing about perspective. It's all about perspective. And I think from what I'm feeling from what you're sharing, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, though, things are happening to us, they're happening for us. And for people to wrap, like when I've had this conversation with various individuals, say, for example, I'll use the experience I went through with losing my son. And I have met many people who unfortunately have lost a child or a loved one that's very close to them, and they hate God and they blame God for it. And it's God's fault that this happened with their loved one. And I say this with no judgment, no finger pointing or anything, but that's what their experiences that they've experienced in this lifetime. That's their perspective. It's a way to start having some concreteness about why this horrible thing happened versus, like you said, you didn't start this journey till you were 45. I'll be 60 August 15th. I started this journey a couple decades ago, but still I'm still a work in progress. I always will be. But it's about having a choice about, I think everything happens when it's meant to, but also being able to step back and look at, is there another reason for why this happened? Because a lot of people who haven't really delved into this have a hard time hearing that things happen for us, not to us. Also, that we create our own reality, right? So people say, I would never create that. I would never, ever create to lose my child. Of course you wouldn't. And we can't know everything, right? But otherwise, why come here? We're here with a blank slate. And like you said, it's, you're enjoying it for the experience. And that may be one of the reasons why you chose to come here. I have met a few people that had some really difficult lives before. And this one, it's just here to have fun, just to have an easy life and have fun. And we can choose whatever we want it to be and make it that.
And for me, I just am aware that I'm all the lifetimes in one.
Mm-hmm.
They're all now. And so I'm conscious of this one now. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if anybody does marijuana or not, but
Mhm.
anyway,
Let's
sometimes
be
when
careful with the word. You can talk about it. We'll just call it the Mary Jane. How about, because we're on
yeah,
YouTube. YouTube doesn't
so
like that one.
so
Mhm.
whenever it's
It's
legal
legal
where
here,
it's
so in
legal
Canada
where I live, so
and
it's it's
Canada
it's
too.
it's legal. So
Mhm.
anyhow, when I've had I don't really engage much, but when I do, it's very it's like having like peyote
Mhm.
or ayahuasca or something like
Yeah.
that. For me, it's like that powerful. And when the last time I was well, one of the last times I was in Mount Shasta, we went to the Lava Rocks area and was driving, and I had a cookie that had marijuana oil in it, and I was experiencing myself in this dimension. I
Mhm.
was experiencing myself weightless and in a higher
Mhm.
dimension. I also experienced the woman I was with. She was a young girl, and she young people have such a different frequency than we do. Uh, they just they have more awareness in many ways because of their frequencies. Earth has changed too. I mean, the frequency of Earth has changed in all the time that I've been here. It's not as dense as it was when I first came in. So anyway, I could I was inside of her body feeling her,
Mhm.
and she, she vibrated at such a higher level than her parents and other people. They wanted to put her in a mental institution
Mhm.
because
Yeah, and I've met people
you
that's
know.
happened to.
And so the thing is that, but I could feel her frequency and her magic, and I could feel how difficult it was for her to be at her level of frequency and attempting to really relate to people at a different frequencies. And it was an interesting awareness because I don't think I ever really thought of it in that way before, but it was an interesting awareness.
So
So
you got to feel, it sounds like almost from her perspective, what it's like to live in just a short window of time. You got that experience for
yeah,
what it's
yeah,
really like for her. But that, if you
yeah,
think about that, that really gets down to the roots of having true compassion and empathy when you can actually
yeah.
experience and feel somebody's experience. It's
Yeah.
rare that that can happen, but I think that
To
really
that
gave
extent,
you.
anyway, because it was like I was her, you know.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah, it was an interesting little journey that I went on during that little
Well,
because
there's many ways. Like you go, my eldest son, I had two boys, and my eldest has works with Two Spirit First Nations adolescents and First Nations women, and he's discovered going back through our a familial line that we're actually Métis, so we are First Nation as well as another nationality. And I'd always been told that no, um, there was too many generations before us to ever say that. Not that it matters, but my whole point is we had quite an interesting conversation. We spent the day together yesterday, and I was asking him about some of the language to use when we're describing, say, different clans or different tribes or groups or what have you. But my whole point where I'm going with this is he has experienced a true sweat lodge experience and
Mhm.
what that was like. And you look at that and explore it, journeying through whatever way that door opens for you and
Mhm.
having that experience. Or what I'm loving to see now is they are discovering that not only with ayahuasca, but with other psychotropic drugs given in very small micro doses in a medical setting, they are able to do so much psychological healing work versus years of therapy, especially with
Yeah,
PTSD and things like
yeah,
that. So I think there's
yeah,
something to that.
yeah.
Hmm.
There is it opens you to your multidimensional self for me
Hmm.
anyway. But I wanted to share something with you because of all the different shows that you're on. I was at Lorian's last
Hmm.
conference, the UFO conference, and I opened the conference with sound both days. It was so
Oh,
much fun.
cool.
It was great. I loved it. I really loved it. and people had some really interesting experiences and stuff. But while I was there the first night, I met this gentleman. His name is Jim Morris, and there was a woman there, a Native American woman, who was going to talk about Skinwalker Ranch. Now, are
Oh,
you
okay.
aware of Skinwalker Ranch? Okay.
Oh, yes. Everybody in this group. So we got Jody here from Australia. She said, loving your live. Hi, Jody.
Uh,
Okay, they love
okay.
to talk the spooky ooky on this show, and then we sometimes get into spiritual. So yes, they know who Skinwalker Ranch
Okay.
is. Yes.
So the gentleman that I met the first night there
Mhm.
is the manager of Skinwalker Ranch. But they
Oh,
won't let anybody go there.
oh, God.
I wanted to go, but they don't allow that. But they're in there. I think they just got renewed for their 6th season on the History Channel. Because
Ooh.
they have a show, the Skinwalker Ranch,
Yes. Yep.
on the History Channel, and they just got renewed. But anyhow, we had such a wonderful connection when we met, and I'm hoping that we can remain friends because he was a spirit that I really
Mhm.
I connected with automatic, not sexually or anything like that,
Mhm.
but just spiritually.
Mhm.
And he was, he, but everyone loves him that meets him. So I'm not surprised that I would, you know, think he's really cool too. But he was the manager, and he was the one who put the deal together for the person that owns it now, that bought it.
Mhm.
He was the one who brokered that deal because he's
Oh,
also
cool.
a real estate developer
Mhm.
and stuff. So it's just an amazing person. So I met all these really cool people there, but he's the most standout that your audience would love
Mhm.
because
Well,
because
maybe
like
we'll have to hit him up and have him on the show too,
well
because we're having
I'll
some.
ask him.
Oh,
I'll
sorry. Go
ask
ahead.
him if he wants to be on the show.
Oh, that
He
would
would
be
probably
cool.
tell you. He'd probably tell you to have Michelle be on your show because he was
Michelle,
there. Well, she was the speaker.
do you know her
He
last?
was. I do know her last name, but uh, I do know it, but I can't remember it because I have her name somewhere.
Oh,
But
it'll probably come to
I'll
me.
have to send it to you. Okay.
Okay,
But
because
you
I
know
gotta
what,
let.
Laura? You should just ask Lorian.
Oh, I've had Lorian on a few
No, I
times. I
know,
can't
but
remember.
Lorian was the one who booked her for the
Oh, I'll have
to
to ask
speak.
Lorian then, because what
Yeah,
I was going to
she
say
would have
is,
all her contact information.
okay, I'll ask her because.
Her name is Michelle. She's connected to the Skinwalker Ranch. She's a Native American, and
Oh,
she was a speaker there. And so, yeah, you should, because I don't think Jim talks. I don't think he's does
okay.
speaking engagements or not. But I will ask him the next time I talk to him. I will
Okay.
ask him.
Well,
Um,
what I'm
he
going to tell
wasn't,
you. Oh,
huh?
sorry. Go ahead.
He wasn't a speaker. But he was there to support
Esther.
Michelle.
Yeah.
So
Well, what I
anyway,
was going to tell people is I have an update for you. So I've been talking about this woman for a long time, Azria Beckham. She's over in the UK, lovely pink hair. And I had seen her at first on the Sean Atwood channel. And what she does is, where is it? Here you are. She uses, it's like a pendulum. It's called the unifier. This is selenite. I call it the unicorn horn on a chain. And she I think her, and I'm going to mention her partner in a minute that works with her, um, I think they've connected to 37 different off-world species, and she goes into not the physical DNA like that you get done with a DNA swab, but if you will, the energetic genealogy connected to off-world species. And I have watched some of the results that she has given live to people that describes them to a T. She doesn't even really have to know your real name or anything, just your birth date and something else. She is coming on. I think it's July 28th, you guys. And you've heard me go on and on about Beverly Rhodes. She's from South Africa. She is over in the UK. They just had a massive ufology conference last year and this year in the UK. They had ships show up like right when one person was connecting with them. Beverly is coming on, I think August 18th. And you guys, this lady is incredible. Like such an incredible remote viewer, psychic, medium, um, like all the alphabet soup agencies around the world work with her to find lost and missing individuals, solve unsolved crimes, and she's just absolutely lovely. So she's coming on too. So
Now,
we
do
got
you send links out to people for who your guests are going to be so they know?
I
Could I
don't,
be on?
but I should. I
Well, you
should.
should, because I would love, because I need to be reminded, because
Okay, well,
I
I
actually,
have all kinds of cool people coming on. I have people coming
so
on from all
if you could let me know, send me links or something for the people, I would love to be able. I don't know how to get on the show just to listen to it. So if you
you
could
can
send me
listen
that,
or you can watch. Listening, I
but I
think on
mean, could you
the
just send that to me? We don't know to, but will you send that to? I'll send you an email and remind you. Okay.
okay. No, you know
Okay.
what? Send it to me on Messenger. That's the fastest, easiest way I
Okay.
get.
I will send you a messenger about it to tell you that, because if you have like a newsletter or some kind of a thing you send out for your monthly list of your
I
monthly
don't.
shows, it would be, well, I'm a marketer. You better start doing it.
I need to start doing when I have a list already curated of lots of names already
Yeah.
started. I
Yeah.
just haven't had, let's see. So next week, well, I might as well tell you guys. And always forget to do the station ID. I'm supposed to do it at the top of the hour. So if you guys are just tuning in, you're listening to 105.3 on the Gulf Coast in the USA FM and 107.7 FM out of the beautiful city of New Orleans, where we are broadcasting from. You are listening to or watching UFO Paranormal and United Public Radio Network, and this is the Angel Rock. I'm your host, Lorilei Potvin, and this amazing, lovely lady is Mary Electra. She's been on before, and I'm so glad that you're joining us. So, you guys stay tuned. We're not done yet. We have another 25 minutes or so, but Dolly Saffron and Preston Dennett are coming up next with the Lake Gate, and they just had their birthdays last week. I know that for a fact because our own Michelle DeRoche, who has Beyond the Outer Realm tomorrow night, and then the Outer Realm Wednesday and Thursday night, she had a open line and she had about 6 of us on for her birthday, which was last Wednesday. Lots of May birthdays. So next week we are having on, I haven't had her on before, Marianne Weston. Now I know she's had cancer and she talks about her spiritual experiences, and it's quite an incredible book she's written. I know she's not able to stay for the full show, so we may have an open agenda for the last hour, maybe even hour and a half, but she's coming on. We got all kinds of people coming on. We got somebody coming on from Norway coming back on. I'm looking just through here. England, just through the guests. I'm going through this. Oh, you know who else I'm having on? I'm going to do this. I don't usually talk about this, Mary, but I am. I don't know how I haven't before. She's on the Riff Nation Network. It is, give me a sec. I want to make sure Joni. I think it's Templeton Skinner. I want to make sure I get her name right. I know who she is, obviously. Yeah, Templeton Skinner. She is the most incredible astrologer, but she uses her astrology gifts like she's a real true crime fan, and I am too, looking into it. And she uses people's birth charts to be able to, and she's been really accurate. So she's coming on this summer. We got all kinds of amazing guests coming on. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
mhm.
I'm honored to be one of them. Maybe we'll do another show together. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Mhm.
One of the things I thought might be an interesting thing for people is if they might have any questions they'd like to ask us, and we could both give them our perspective. If
Absolutely.
you want, I mean,
I think it's a great idea. I
I
do want
I
to
like
share. Oh,
I
sorry, go
like
ahead.
interaction.
Okay, so I want to share this with Miss. She says, I made an organite unicorn horn. Looks like that selenite one. Really? I'll have to see that because Mish does resin like I do. And like I said, that's why I call her my twin over in Australia, because her birthday's the day before. Mine's the day before yours. But with the time change, I always say it's almost like we have it on the same day. Because she's in
Almost.
Australia. I know what people probably may want to ask you, and I've been hearing this from Spirit, but I don't want to put you under pressure, but people may want to hear what happens when you do the toning, or
What
why
happened?
why would they connect with you? What would they use the toning for in the way of healing? Like, I know people would love to hear that while we're waiting to see if people are going to type some questions.
Well, I need to say this disclaimer. Everything is up to spirit.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever is in your divine spiritual need
Mm-hmm.
at any given time generally is what happens. But I do this I did these spiritual readings, tarot readings. Um,
Oh, so
so
you say tarot too. I heard spirit say tarot, not tarot. Love it. I
I,
like tarot when I was reading your. But go ahead. Sorry.
did I say it wrong?
No, you didn't. There's two
Oh,
ways to say it, tarot and tarot. And my
yeah,
good friend Marla Ventura says it that way. As I was reading your bio, and I
yes,
said, I say it tarot, and I heard spirit say tarot, and I didn't, and you just said it. I think it's
yeah,
just cool. That's all.
yeah.
There's not a wrong
Okay.
way to say
So
it.
anyway, so people can receive a spiritual reading from me,
Mhm,
and then what? And after the spiritual reading, I do a meditation,
mhm,
um, and then a sound healing to support whatever's going on with the reading. And many people just want to open up to their higher spiritual self. So the sound really does open portals to your higher dimensional self to help you connect to your. See, a lot of people I work on don't even realize what's happening. And I worked on somebody who was in the marketing field of marketing, and now he does he does sound bowls all over the world now. But he was a very uh, white collar marketing person and stuff. And um, there's a lot of people. I worked on somebody and they started doing, I did some toning work. And after I did the toning work, they were always a musician, but they opened up to a real deeper sense of their spiritual music stuff. And they do works with gongs and stuff. Amazing, amazing work. But people don't really connect the work that I do with what's going on. They don't connect the two, and that's okay. I mean, I used to want people to realize it, but I realize now that if someone's meant to have a session with me, or they will receive what they need to receive. The magic will happen. It will always happen. It might not be realized in that moment, but it will always happen. And um, the sound really does work with you spiritually to open your spiritual centers. But also, if you go to my website, you'll see a lot of testimonials of people who have had some very magical healing experiences. So healing can happen with the work. I don't ever make any claims to it, but all those things are possible. And it really actually depends on the intention of whoever I'm working with, what really happens. Does that make sense to you?
It does. And Mish says so we can ask direct questions. Well, yeah, put some questions in the chat. If we can answer, we will. But what I was going to say, what this almost felt like as you were talking, Mary, is, and I'm running into a lot of people in my own practice as well as people that are, I'm just talking to. I know I talk to a gazillion people a day usually, and not that many, it's exaggerating, but I do talk to a lot of people. And I
Right.
find there's a lot of people, especially over the last 4 or 5 years of what we've been through, have been feeling that there's something more to life, but they don't know what that is. They're at a crossroads. So even the examples you gave, somebody that's coming from a white collar background, probably making decent money, whatever this is, but probably not feeling fulfilled or happy, or, this is what I planned on doing when I grew up, basically. And now
Right.
I'm not finding it. So they had a session with you, and I love the way you said the way your practice works, that the healing finds sort of the person finds the healer whom they're meant to work with, meaning for yourself, for example, but what needs to be healed or opened is. So now this gentleman you said is doing sound healing around the world. Maybe that was what was meant to happen for him. So the two of you worked together and that opened exactly what needed to be opened.
Right. We worked together more than once. I
Like this,
actually,
like
yeah,
Mish is asking.
I worked with him more than once, and I did at the time I did massage
Mhm,
and sound with him,
mhm,
and um, so he had several sessions with me,
mhm,
more than just one. Uh, and I'm not saying how many sessions it takes because I worked on a little kitty who was told they were going. The mama was told that her little kitty was going to die in less than 6 months, and there was no treatment or anything. And this little kitty, I used to do, a weekly or monthly massage with this woman because she had she had, before I started working on her, she had chronic back issues.
mhm.
Chiropractic didn't work. But after I started working on her, that chronic back issue kind of dissolved,
Right.
which was great. But when I was working with, and when I did massage, I always tone at the end of the session for people. I always give them sound healing. So the little kitty that got diagnosed with the lung cancer, basically, would always come up and sit on her tummy when I did the sound. So she, the kitty got diagnosed, and the mama was just distressed because this kitty had been with her a long, long time, and this was like a child to her. So she asked me if I would give the kitty a healing, and I said, yeah, of course I would.
Mhm.
So she held the kitty. I put my hands on what I thought to be the lungs. I didn't know, 'cause I don't really know where the lungs on an animal are generally, but I was guided where to put my hands, and I toned I sent energy into that part of intentional energy into that kitten or cat. It was really an adult. Um, and the next time she went to the doctor,
Mhm.
the tumor was gone, and the kitty lived, to my knowledge, another 5 or 6 years. I'm not there anymore, and I don't work with the mother anymore. But it was, and a woman came. This is how strange everything is. I did conferences, and when I did conferences, I don't do chair massage anymore. I do feet massages, but this woman came to me. It was in Sedona, and she had a session with me. And when I work at conferences, I usually work in the back of the room, so I can't do the sound, but I can do the massage. But the the lecture was over, and had the opportunity to do sound on her as well. And so I had no idea what was going on with this woman. But 9 years later, I'm in Tempe doing another conference, and I sit at breakfast with her sister. And her sister, when I told her they should come to have massage because they'd just driven from Oklahoma to Arizona. And I said, you guys come have a session. And she said, you're Mary. And I said, yeah, I'm Mary. And she said, oh my God, my sister talks about you all the time. And I didn't know what she was talking about. She said, well, you don't know what I'm talking about. I said, no, I don't know what you're talking about. She says, well, we were at the Crystal Skull Conference in Sedona, and you worked on my sister. And right before we went there, she was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. And she had a tumor the size of a fist on her sternum. And so she decided she would deal with that when she got home. So she got inspired to have a massage with me. And I did I think a 15-minute session and a sound on her. And she felt something had changed when they left the conference, and her sister was an MRI tech. So they did an MRI, and the tumor was the size of a quarter
Wow.
after the sound. Now, see, I'm not going to tell you that happens all the time because I never know what's going to happen. Spirit is working his energy through me for whatever your needs are. So that's the only thing I know for sure. And the other thing I know for sure is magic is always happening. I really do believe magic is always happening.
There's a
So
reason why
yeah,
it's been around for eons.
huh?
There's a reason why magic has been around for eons since the
Yeah.
beginning of time.
So I did, another story. There are always these good ones with this woman. She had cancer and she wanted me to heal her, and I said, spirit is that's spirit's job, not
Mhm.
my job. And I mean, I facilitate. That's why I say in my bio, I facilitate. I don't say I do healing. I facilitate the
I
process of
call
healing.
myself the male person.
You know,
It's
so
not me. It's not me with healing. It's
no,
just the mailman or the male person. I'm just a connector, right? And like
yeah,
you, the people that are meant to find you to work with you,
yeah,
you make that connection and it sends exactly what they need, but spirit or
right,
source
yeah,
is doing what we need, right?
right.
Hmm.
That so this woman wanted to only have a session with me because she wanted me to heal her. And I said, I can't make a promise of healing to anyone. Your journey is your journey. I mean, I'm here to support you in your journey, whatever that is. And she did end up dying. And she got very angry with me because she had felt that I was misrepresenting myself. But I know I don't because I never make any claims. I know spirit is working through me, and I don't know people's journey. Only they, like when I did the healing work with you still were sick for quite a long time. And
Yes.
does that mean that the work I did with you didn't help you? No, it didn't mean that at all. It meant you received exactly what spirit needed you to receive. And when you were telling me you're still just getting over it, I could feel there was some journey you were going through with whatever you have.
Hmm.
There was a journey in it for you, some kind of
Yep.
a opportunity for remembering, and also I think it made you stop, and now you're getting into so many other things
Yeah.
that if you didn't have that time, you would have not made the decisions that you've made. And that's what I got when you told me you were still, and that you were still working through whatever you had when I saw you in January. So the fact that you didn't heal doesn't mean that the magic wasn't happening and it wasn't supporting your journey, because it
I
was.
think what part of the problem is with that, though, right? When we have an expectation rather than just being open to receiving,
Yeah,
right? Like, I feel very sad for this poor lady but her thing was, you're going to heal me. But that's the
yeah,
problem, right? There's a bigger plan in action that we
right,
can't always see. You want to call it the universe, source, God,
yeah,
whatever you want to call it, right? It's
mm-hmm.
and God's not controlling what we're doing. I say God because that's my belief system, but for whatever people's belief system is.
Yeah,
But like I've always said, if we even talk, say, for the law of attraction, for example, right, or manifestation, the only thing that's our responsibility is what do we want to manifest, for example, and be as clear and concise as possible, right? Putting good, positive energy into it, higher vibrational energy, and releasing it. Never trying to figure out how is this going to happen. This is going to be impossible. There's no way this can happen. But when we release it and we let go of, because when things do happen, and if we really look back and we say, holy cow, I manifested that, when you see all the pieces and parts and things that fall into play for that to happen, I know for myself, I could never have figured it out in a million years. And it's kind of exactly what you just said with the healing. I'm very grateful that you sent that healing. So it's opened something else. I have a feeling what it's done for me, honestly, Mary, is some of my psychic gifts have really, really evolved and grown since my son passed away and since I've received that healing. Now, did you open possibly another a portal, if you will, into the abilities that I'm able to do? I don't know, but I didn't have anything attached to it. I was just gratefully open to
right,
receiving.
right.
Mhm.
And that's just what I know is there's one other quick story. I worked on a woman who was diagnosed with cancer that was inoperable, and they gave her like 6 months to live. And her neighbor was a client of mine. She said, "Will you come work on her?" And I did. I had 3 sessions with her,
Mhm.
and uh, she was getting X-rays and whatever they do, CT scans,
Scans, yeah.
and the tumor kind of dissolved. And they gave her. She was really supposed to be able to be okay, and not.
Mhm.
She didn't have a death sentence anymore. And the last time I worked on her, her lungs, I could feel her lungs, and I said, you're really powerful. You did just a wonderful job. Look what you've done. I mean, you've done this amazing work. But when I was working on her energetically, she wasn't happy about that. She just wasn't happy about it. And her lungs were really congested. And I didn't, I did the work with her and but it didn't feel like she wanted to heal, to be honest
Mhm.
with
Mhm.
you. And
Yep.
Spirit gave me this information when when it was all over, because she passed away 3 days later.
Ah.
No, the thing was that she didn't want to heal. She was ready to go.
Mhm.
Her spirit was ready to go, and the work that I did with her, spirit, this was what was really to tell me that spirit brings through amazing abilities
Mhm.
with the gift I have. And because sometimes I question whether or not I should be doing this. And Spirit was saying, you are in you're really where you need to be, and your work is
Mhm.
really wonderful, and magic is always happening, and you never ever know what that magic is. So it was just another wonderful reminder, because the woman, I was helping her really pass, is
Yes,
really what I was
and
doing.
that's like they say, that's not always exactly what we expect it to be, and I think if
Yeah,
we release the expectation and
yeah.
be open to receiving, and I hate to do this, but we are almost out of time, so where can people get a hold of you? You've
Okay.
also sent me, like, you put out things during the month, like a newsletter almost or something too,
I,
don't you?
I do a newsletter because I do a monthly group sound healing, group sound meditation. And people can sign up on my mailing list and they'll get notification of when that is. And during the summer, people haven't been all that excited about coming because there's so many things to do. But anyhow, but I would love people to come, because it's really, I love being able to do this. And on my website, I have 3 CDs that you can purchase. I have a book you can purchase. I have sessions that you can book for. Now, the thing is, I'm very terrible about email. So if you book a session with me, please notify me that you've done that, because I don't always know, because
Mhm.
I don't always look at my email to see if a calendar date has been set. So please just make me aware of it. Um, I mean, we put the calendar on because it made it easier, but it doesn't really, because I don't look at my email every day because I'm lazy. I'm not
I'm
lazy.
I'm the same way right now. I'm
I'm
hoping to
not,
go to a main domain site, but same thing. I tell people, just get a hold of me on social media. It's the fastest and quickest, easiest
no.
way.
Well,
Mhm.
you have a way of getting a hold of me, sending me an email through the thing, or you can phone call me, you can text me.
Mhm.
You can text me because my phone number's on there. Anyway, somehow get a hold of me and let me know, because I I love doing that. I love doing sound meditations with people privately, because we go to such depth with everyone.
Mhm.
And I love doing the readings because I just love doing the. It's amazing
Mhm.
how spirit guides me with the readings, and I always feel blessed to be able to do that. I'm very honored to be able to do anything I do with people, because you know that's a lot of trust people put into me,
Yeah.
put out to me, because they're trusting me, and I'm very blessed, and I feel very honored by that. So, do we have time to do a little sound healing for
We
everybody?
don't. I'm sorry. I feel
Oh,
so
really? I thought we had 2 hours. Okay.
well.
I,
Yeah,
I guess we.
we got to be off by we got about
Okay.
2 minutes
Well,
here.
then, no, everybody, if you want to sound healing, contact me.
Yeah, so her website. We got talking, you guys. I'm sorry. This is what happens when Mary and I get on here. We start talking. So you can get a hold of you on www.soundhealingelectra.com. It's scrolling across the bottom.
Right.
And you know what we will do? I think you did do some toning on the first show you were on.
Yes, I did.
So you guys, if you want to check it out, Mary was on my show. I think it was January 3rd or something of 2025. If you go to the Angel Rock with Lorilei Potvin on YouTube, it's under the live tab, or just Google it. If you Google the Angel Rock with and put Mary Electra, it'll come up. I know it will.
Now, what if I put? Can I open Messenger to tell them what my Messenger is on here? I'd have to
Uh,
open it up because I
well,
don't
they can
remember.
look you up on Facebook. You want me to tell them that? I could tell them how to do
Yeah,
that.
tell them what my
The
tell them
messenger.
what my
Okay.
because I do check my Messenger. I
Okay.
don't.
So how you can get a hold of Mary through Messenger is they'll have to message you under your Facebook profile.
Right.
So it's Mary Electra. It does have your last name on there. Are you okay with
Yes,
me?
that's perfectly fine. Yeah.
Okay,
My last
last
name.
name. I don't even know how to say it. Is it
It's my that last name was Everspatcher, and it's E as in Edward, B as in boy, E as in Edward, R as in Richard, S as in Sam, P as in Paul, A as in Apple, C as in Charles, H as in Harry, E as in Edward, R as in Richard, Mary
yes?
Everspatcher. So it's Mary Electra Everspatcher, and I think there's quotes around the Electra.
Yeah, you guys will be able to find her if you look up soundhealingelectra.com or Mary Electra, and you'll be able to hear it because you will be able to hear it. I know you did Tony on the last show. You
Yes.
guys please stay tuned because the next show coming up, Dolly sent me a link already. She usually sends me a link to her show. So Dolly Saffron and Preston Denner are coming up next with Lightgate. If you ever want to get a hold of me, you can get a hold of me on facebook.com/Angel Rock. But the fastest and quickest way, just send me a message, usually on Messenger or any social media platform. Leanne and I are still working on our course. I've been telling you guys it's coming. The way we're going is probably going to be the fall, but you know what? I think with the summer, it'll be hard to get people to come anyway. So it'll probably be beginning of September, I think. But I will have a domain name website by then. Fingers
Oh,
crossed. I'm planning on it, so it'll be
good.
easy to get a hold of
Good.
me. So, like I said, we have Marianne coming on next week. I know she had said when she booked she wasn't able to stay for the whole show with her health, but there will be a full show. We'll just get a hangout towards the end of the show. So, as long as she can stay, I told her that's great. Otherwise, you guys decide, think up something fun to do. Last time you guys thought up you wanted to do readings, I think, so we can do whatever you want. Don't forget to tune in Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Carrie Lynn Shellhorn. And I forgot to give her a plug for her show. She has Spirit Switchboard on Fridays, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So check her out. But her and I are going to be together. We've already dreaming up our outfit we're wearing. We've been wearing outfits for our new show. So we're going to, it's episode 4 of Beneath the Hollow Moon. And we are going to be talking about Tommy knockers and Kentucky goblins and creepy creatures underneath the ground in caves and mines. So until then, you guys, love you all. Mary, thank you so much for being
Thank you.
here. And
Also,
thank
I'm going to send you a messenger because I'd love to get some names of people I could be on other shows with. So I'll
Okay.
send you a message. Okay. And
Okay.
listen, guys, thank you very much for tuning in and listening. I didn't get to meet any of you, but you're all, thank you for your blessings.
All right, everybody. Love you. Stay tuned for Dolly and Preston coming up right next. Thanks so much, everyone.